Hi, and welcome to our Company C BSG Simulation Report presentation. Our team consists of Connor Romano, Nicholas Juneman, and me, Miles Dunworth. In this presentation, we'll be talking about our company's financial data report, future goals, competitive strategy in the internet segment, wholesale segment, private label segment. We'll be talking about our production strategy, financial strategy, competitors, and finally, we'll be talking about the lessons we learned from this simulation. We'll be starting our financial performance analysis with our total annual revenues. As you can see, in year 10, we started with total revenues of $432,000, and in year 17, we ended with total revenues of $813,000. You can see that in year 10 to 15, we had steady yearly growth. And then in year 16 to 17, we've seen this growth diminish, largely due to various market factors, including production costs and increasing competition. Despite this diminish, we did see total revenue growth at the end of the simulation of 88.05%. Next, we're going to be talking about our annual earnings per share, or EPS, over the simulation. We started with an EPS of $2 at year 10, and in year 17, we had an ending EPS of $6.81. Once again, from years 10 to 15, we did see a steady growth, and in years 16 to 17, we saw a decrease, and this is largely due to changes in production costs. Despite these decreases in year 17, we did have the second highest EPS in the market, and over the simulation, we had a total EPS growth of 240.5%. Next, we're going to be talking about our annual return on equity investments, and as you can see, there was heavy fluctuation throughout the simulation. This is largely due to varying yearly net income and average shareholder equities investment over the simulation. Despite this variation, we did have an ending weighted average of 21.4%, and we were the second highest in the market at year 17. Next, we're going to be looking at our annual year-end stock price. As you can see in year 10, we started with a stock price of $30, and we ended year 17 with a stock price of 97.20 cents. Our highest stock price was $204.08. Once again, we saw rapid growth in our stock price from years 10 to 15. And then we saw a significant drop from year 16 to 17, and this is due to increases in competition and decrease in performance. Nonetheless, our ending stock price at year 17 was the second highest in the market, and we're very proud of that. Next, we're going to be looking at our annual image rating, which we maintained a very high image rating throughout the entire simulation. Our company had a focus on providing the best possible product by raising our SQ to the highest in the market and also providing superior materials in our production. We primarily fluctuated between 80 and 90 points of our image rating, and our average image rating at the end of the simulation was 88, which was the second highest in the market. Our final financial performance indicator is credit rating, and as you can see on the left, throughout the entire simulation, we had the highest possible credit rating of an A+, and this is largely due to the fact that we decided not to utilize a line of credit. And because of this, at year 17, we were tied for the highest credit rating in the market of an A+. And now I'm going to be handing it off to Connor, who's going to be talking about strategic vision.
Thank you, Miles. So strategic vision. Our strategic vision is a well-developed footwear brand, and it consists of being diverse, top quality product line, markets leading producer of superior footwear, providing fast and convenient customer service, marketing a more robust product line, focusing sales and distribution in North America as well as Asia Pacific to furthermore maximize the profits, and utilize technology and best practice advantages in production. And basically, we want our best for our customers. Now I'm going to get into performance targets. So our performance goals for year 18 would be a EPS of $7 and a return on equity of 14% with credit rating A+, image rating 84. And then in year 19, it would be a EPS of $7.25 with a return on equity of 17%, credit rating A+, image rating 85. And as you see, our goals increase every single year. And as we went through the simulation, we got better as we went on. So we feel that we're way more comfortable now. So we think our goals should be a little more higher for the future. So now I'm going to get into competitive strategy of the internet market. So we put a lot of our focus into the marketing, and that consists of the search engine advertising, which was heavily used, and the celebrity endorsements were leveraged to improve brand appeal. We were very big on celebrity endorsements. We felt that celebrities really gave us an advantage from our competitors. And we also had free shipping used to enhance customer perception, and that was another big part of our internet market too. And then we had a scaled price based on wholesale price. So we didn't want to alienate our retailers with a low internet price, and then scaled up alongside wholesale prices. And then it could exceed 40% mark depending on the market conditions. So basically, we based it off of other people's prices. And now the competitive strategy of a wholesale market. Since we are a high quality shoe, we need strong wholesale marketing, and that consists of investment in brand advertising and mail-in rebate of $5. This is another thing that would separate us from our competitors. And then we also want to have a strong relationship with the retailers. So low delivery times in key areas and moderate amount of retail support. And now finally, competitive strategy in the private label. So in terms of private label, we had a flexible approach. We would look at the demand in each group in the geographic area, and then we adapted the amount of shoes to send there to meet the demand of the area. And then we would play around with the price and the SQ to outcompete the rivals and work against what they had with us to outcompete them in the end. And then this worked out really well for us. Our private label shoes sold very well, and we were able to shut down other companies in some cases. So basically, we took what we had and looked at everyone else's and based our prices off that, which in the end worked really well for us. And now I'm going to pass it off to Nick.
Thank you, Connor. So when we were looking at our initial production strategy, we wanted to do something that we could scale upward. Since we're competing in a more niche market looking for only people who are interested in buying high quality shoes, we didn't know how strong the demand would be initially. So when we started, we wanted to keep everything in NA and AP. Since the demand was not super high, we figured clustering our production in just 2 areas would be enough to meet the demands that were in the market. And if the demand happened to exceed what we originally thought, we could employ use of overtime, which we did in certain years, to make sure that we were meeting that demand. And in terms of our production strategy, in terms of how we compensated the workers, we focused a lot on incentive pay to reduce the number of reject rates that would come out of our factories. In terms of branded production, we wanted to focus on quality over quantity, as we've mentioned before. So we used a high number of superior materials, a low number of models to keep things, our cost per pair very low. And we wanted to invest a lot in the TQM programs in order to ensure that our shoes were the highest quality they could possibly be. And when we needed to, we would use stockouts and discounts to move shoes along if we had a surplus for whatever reason. And this was a very good strategy for us because even with, say, a 25% reduction in price, we could still make a profit off of the shoes in most areas, and this would be a good way for us to move product when the demand was not necessarily as high as we would have hoped. Moving into our financial strategy, we wanted to look at the financial strategy solely through the eyes of the investor and really wanted to tailor it to make sure we were meeting those investor expectations year after year. So in order to do this, we focused a lot on building a consistently high brand image, which would allow us to maintain a lot of our customers year over year and allow us to continuously improve our revenues. So we did this through innovative marketing techniques, as Connor mentioned before, as well as improving our operations and standards year over year. And another big thing that we focused on was reacting to what other companies in the marketplace were doing. So if we needed to, say, adjust prices in order to be more competitive in a certain area, we would figure out a way to do that without dramatically impacting the quality of the shoes we were producing. And throughout the entire simulation, we were able to maintain a very large market share in North America and the Asia Pacific regions. So moving into who our strongest competitors were, there were 2 that stuck out the most, Companies E and Company A. To start with Company E, they were by far our strongest competitor. They had a moderately high SQ rating for their shoes. It went about as high as 7.3 and ended at about 6.2. So it did vary from year to year, but either way, they were a more high quality shoe compared to a lot of other companies in the market. We had constant bidding wars with them over celebrity endorsements as they were also heavily focused on image rating and brand appeal. So for us, we needed to make sure we were outbidding them constantly in order to maintain the celebrities that we needed for our shoes. And we also had a lot of battles, be it in private label, wholesale, and internet for market share. And they were by far our most difficult competitor to deal with. Another competitor that stuck out was competitor A. And the reason this is because they had the highest SQ in the market besides us. It was sitting around a 7.3 at the end of the simulation. And they also had a lower price than us to capture market share towards the upper end of the shoe buying market. So they were more of an issue in wholesale and internet, and we didn't really have to deal with them too much in private label as opposed to Company E, where they were in every facet of business that we were looking at. So the question became, how are we going to outcompete these rivals, and how are we going to take our market share back from them? Company A was fairly simple. All we really had to do was stay true to what we've been doing from the beginning. We used celebrities to capture more market share, and we still held a significant SQ advantage. So the only thing we really needed to do to outcompete them was lower our prices here and there, depending on what the market was calling for at the time, and we were able to capture most of the market share that they had and take it away from them. Company E, however, was a lot more difficult and did not go over so easily. We had constant wars over celebrity endorsements and over market share, particularly in the private label section. And some years we did really well, where we'd win a lot of the celebrity contracts and have a lot of the market share in private label. In other years we wouldn't do so well, where they would happen to scoop up a lot of the celebrities or take a lot of the market share in private label. It was this constant back and forth that we had to be, conscious of year after year to make sure that we were doing our best to compete with them in the best way we knew how. And I think one place that we really did kind of fall short and where Company E did very well was in Latin America, where they were significantly better than us in a lot of different ways, particularly in terms of price. And the reason that they were able to do that is they were able to set up factories in Latin America to avoid a lot of the transaction fees that occur with shipping overseas. So looking at a couple of the lessons that we can learn from this exercise and what we learned is managing this shoe company for 7 years. I think a lot of the issues that we personally encountered were due to exchange rates and tariffs. We struggled, particularly in Latin America, mainly because the exchange rates were unfavorable. And when those exchange rates were unfavorable, we could barely turn a profit off of our shoes in that market. And we did build space in Latin America at one point, but we never utilized it because we didn't feel like we were in a good spot to front the extra capital in order to invest the amount we need for the machines and the workers and things of that nature. But I think in hindsight, it would have been a good idea to do so because especially in the later years when we weren't turning too much of a profit in Latin America, having a factory there to cut out those shipping and exchange rate costs would have been really beneficial for our company. And lastly, I think the biggest lesson that we can all take away from this is that we learned how to compete. And when we first started this, we didn't think we would have to compete too hard because we were looking at what a lot of the other companies were doing. And a lot of them were focused on low quality, high production type deal, which is what you think of when you think of shoe companies in most cases. And since we were, kind of going against the grain and doing high quality, lower production, we didn't think it would be too much of an issue. However, we were wrong and it did complicate over time as other companies started to realize this and start to put shoes out to directly compete with us. And while we were able to do this, we had some wins, we had some losses, and we were able to outcompete our rivals in a couple of key areas. And I think the biggest takeaway that we were able to learn from all this is that you can't just pay attention to what you want to do as a company. If we just focused on doing what we want to do and not really paying attention to what the other companies were doing, we would not be nearly as successful as we were towards the end of the simulation. You need to look at what the other companies are doing and be able to adapt your strategy accordingly in order to compete with them in the best way possible. And by employing this strategy ourselves, we were able to reach second place, which is something that we're all very proud of. And I think it's something that we'll be able to apply in the future with other businesses that we may encounter. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for listening to our presentation. And I hope we've been able to provide a good amount of insight as to what we were thinking in terms of how we made our decisions and how our company was able to perform so well throughout the course of the simulation.